27. Bhagavan Vacha Bhuya Eva Mahabaho Shinu Me Paramam Vachaha Yatheham Priyamanaya Vakshyami Hita Kamyaya. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, Almighty Arjuna, because you are my dear friend, for your benefit. I shall speak to you further now, giving you knowledge that is better than that which I have already explained." So here in the 10th chapter, Krishna gives what we consider the nutshell verses of the whole Gita, beginning text number 8, 9, 10, and 11. These 4 verses in the 10th chapter are considered the concise essence of Bhagavad Gita. So we are starting here. Krishna's talking to his dear friend Arjuna. Because you're my friend, I'm giving you this even superior knowledge. Report. The word Bhagavan is explained thus by Parsha Muni, one who is full of 6 opulences, who has full strength, full fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation. We should learn these. We can declare our knowledge of God by saying to people, yes, God is full knowledge, full beauty, full fame, full renunciation, what is it? Full wealth, and renunciation is strength. Yes, he says that Krishna tells Arjuna that he's mighty armed, but nobody could beat Krishna in arm wrestling. His strongest arms, because he has a transcendental body, and he's the cause of all causes. Therefore, if we want to quickly meet him, then we should engage wholeheartedly, without any reservation, in his devotional service. That means we accept everything favorable for that devotional service, and we reject everything unfavorable. So we have this mind intelligence. It can be useful for discriminating what is favorable for my devotional service. Therefore, the intelligence is valuable. We're looking for intelligent class of people who can understand their actual constitutional position and take seriously this Krishna consciousness and apply it in their life. And then we can gradually, step by step, change the face of the world. Otherwise, the world is gliding through more and more chaos. We see now there's another war starting in Gaza, right? So this is the nature of the material world. One war after another. That's how we separate the history. There's World War II, World War I, like this. So much war. Why is that? And they've tried utopian communities. They never worked. For a few years they made it, and then everybody used it. Because everybody loves themselves the most. That's a fact. Everybody who's born into this world, you mothers know from your children, that their first of all business is to satisfy themselves. They're not thinking altruistically, or let me do something nice for my mother when they're, 6 months old, a year old. No, they're born with false ego that I'm the center of the world. And mommy, you should serve me. And why are you not serving me, mommy? But we're all born like this. Therefore, we have to be civilized by the parents, by the school. That you're really not the center of the world. You may think you are, but you're not. So we have to, and we try to work together, cooperate. But we see it doesn't work. Just like I was explaining, when I can remember 70 years ago, or 75 years ago even, I was a child, 7 or 8 years old. And I remember my parents talking about The problem in the Middle East, the Jews and the Muslims, and they're 80 years later almost, the same problem is there. It hasn't improved. They hate each other. Well, if we put Krishna in the center, then we can appreciate other service to Krishna. If we can encourage those who are less advanced. If their aim is to become Krishna conscious, then we can welcome everybody. That was Prabhupada's idea, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We can show by practical example that we can make a God-centered community where people would cooperate instead of quarreling and fighting with each other. That was Prabhupada's goal. And he established branches all over the world in a few years. Of course, it's not so easy because the false ego is very strong. So some of the leaders have fallen down, some of the temple devotees don't always get along with each other. This is natural. It's just like we're in a hospital. So it's not surprised that there's still some remnants of the disease. When we become pure devotees, then we can graduate out of the hospital. Then there's no more getting ill. We get ill, the body will get ill, but the soul will always be joyful, be satisfied. We'll feel satisfied within our heart, because we're strictly following. And so Krishna is in our heart, he'll reciprocate with us, and we'll feel happy within. That was what we saw in Srila Prabhupada. When he first came to America, he was an elderly man, but he was always jolly. It didn't matter how you came, you could see he was satisfied in his heart. Whereas other old people, they gradually become more and more unhappy because they're losing their basis of pleasure, which is their tongue and genital. These are the highest pleasures, eating and sex life. So when they get old, 80, 90, then nobody wants to have sex with them. They're too old and ugly. And they don't have the power of digestion. They can eat a little bit only. So, sweet 16 but bitter 60s. This is the material world. So we should accept that. We should accept the reality that we're in an awkward condition. But people won't do that. They're proud. They think, I'm okay. I'll give the example. The old man is dying. He's laying on a bed, being fed intravenously. Somebody's collecting his stool and urine because he can't go to the toilet. And you ask him, how are you? Oh, I'm okay. This is the disease. We're not okay. We need help. And pure devotee is helping. He's offering. He's offering his valuable advice. Put Krishna in the center. And what's the easiest way to put Krishna in the center?
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Not some secret mantra that only a certain class can have, and no, it's open to everybody. But the result has to be there. If you're chanting nicely, then you give up the disease of illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. These things are poison, and you see them as poison. Today we were going on Harinam, walking by, young people drinking beer, smoking cigarettes on the table. You see that they don't have anything better. They're bored. So the alcohol will give some stimulation. Nicotine gives some stimulation. And so for a moment they feel better. But what is the result? They die of lung cancer. They're eating so much meat, this colon cancer is rampant. Because the body of the human being is not equipped to eat a lot of meat. A dog can eat, a cat can eat because they have short intestines. They can eat it and pass it out in one day. But in a human being, it takes a longer time to get out. And while it's sitting in your small intestine, large intestine, then it begins to putrefy. Then the cancer starts. Then they scratch their head. Why so many people are dying from colon cancer? why so many people are dying from lung cancer? Oh yeah, now they realize that. When I was a child, everybody, nothing wrong with smoking. They even had a brand of smoke cools. Everybody knows a cigarette is hot, but they were telling you it's cool because it had some menthol on it, you know, so. They know. But now they're finally realizing. And the same thing will come to meat. But here in your country, a lot of meat eating. I see all these animals in the field. Well, what's the result? Where do those animals end up? They have a grave to put the dead animals? No, we eat them. I mean, not me, but the people are eating. So, we're not surprised that there's conflict in the world. Because this is sinful, the cow is innocent. We're not surprised there's conflict when there's so much abortion. The child is innocent in the womb. But we're happy to get rid of it. It's an inconvenient truth, so we can kill it. It has no vote bank. The blacks have a vote bank, and therefore they can get some, concessions. But the unborn child, he has no vote. So kill him. But we can do, but the law of karma is working. I heard Prabhupada say that. Those who are performing abortion, they'll be put into a womb and they'll be killed. Again and again, they won't see the light of the day. So we think we are escaping karma and we can do whatever we like, but no. Let's read the purport. The word Bhagavan is explained here by Parasara Muni, one who is full of 6 apples, right? Full strength, full fame, full knowledge, beauty, and renunciation. Is Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. While Krishna was present on the earth, he displayed all 6 opulences. Therefore, great sages like Parasara Muni have all accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now Krishna is instructing Arjuna in more confidential knowledge of his opulences and his work. Previously, beginning with the 7th chapter, the Lord has already explained his different energies and how they are acting. Now in this chapter, he explains his specific opulences to Arjuna. In the previous chapter, he has clearly explained his different energies to establish devotion and firm conviction. Again, in this chapter, he tells Arjuna about his manifestations and various opulences. So here's God coming, personally telling us. What other religion in the world has that kind of authority? The Bible, the Quran, there's some authority there. But you can't compare with God himself speaking and telling us who he is and what his plans are and how we can please him very clearly. And it's coming in unbroken disciplic succession. We're getting it from Srila Prabhupada, who was the pure devotee disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Like this, all the way it's traced back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And from there, it goes back even further to the original beginning of the material creation. When Brahma heard from the Lord himself, what does the Brahma Samhita says? Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchitananda Vigraha, Arya Arya Govinda, Sarvakana. So here Brahma got the realization from the Lord himself. And this is his Brahma Samhita, telling us, Ishvara, that Krishna is the Supreme. He doesn't claim to be the Supreme. Even Mahavishnu, none of them were trying to be Supreme. They all know that Krishna is the Supreme. They have Vishnu Tattva means they're in the same category as God, but still they recognize that Krishna is their source. The example is given of candles. This original candle can light another candle of equal strength, but still the original is there. So Krishna is the original. This is confirmed also in the Bhagavatam, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. All the incarnations are there, but Krishna is the origin. So monotheistic. Sometimes we're criticized, and Hindus are criticized. It's not really religion, the other religions say, because there's no clear conception of God, but there is. Here it is, very clear. But many Hindus, it's true, they become demigod worshippers. They don't worship it, they don't recognize that Krishna is the supreme. Or they become impersonalists, that God is just energy. And the energy, from the energy, everything is coming. Or like here's light or energy. But we trace it out, there's a powerhouse that's supplying the energy. So it's similar. If you trace out, you'll see that Krishna is the origin. He clearly states like that. Brahmanohi Pratistaham. That this Brahman, impersonal energy, is coming from me. That he is the Omkar. They would chant Om. But Krishna says, this is coming from me. Everything is coming from him. Therefore, we should worship him. This is the conclusion. And why not? He's very, Krishna is all attractive. He's playing the flute. He's inviting us to come. He's so beautiful. He has all these 6 opulences we're just reading about. So why not worship Krishna? Who is a better choice? Anybody have a better choice? Huh? You have a better choice? No.
No, I didn't say that.
Somebody? Krishna is the best. Ah, that's a good one. Yes, Lord Chaitanya. But Lord Chaitanya we know is Krishna himself. But he's in the mood of Radharani. Radharani's golden complexion. Lord Chaitanya has accepted. The understanding is that Krishna was seeing Radharani so devoted to him that she was ecstatic because of that. So he wanted to taste that ecstasy. So he came personally. Krishna is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna. So he came, but in the mood of Radharani. And therefore he had the complexion of Radharani, which is golden color. And he acted. He taught us by his example how to become a devotee of Krishna. That was his mood. In the mood of Radharani, once we were in the car with Prabhupada and he said, Radharani is the best devotee. And then he qualified, he said, Mother Yasoda is also a very good devotee. So, Radharani is the best devotee. We accept that. So the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in the mood of Radharani to show us how to be the best devotee. And what did he introduce? Harinam, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalura, Naste. In this Kali Yuga, there's no other, not yoga, not jnana, not karma. These things won't work. But bhakti is here. Just chant the holy name with attention and reverence, and you'll come to understand who you are perfectly. And who are we? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sanatana Swami, yes, you're the servant of the servant of the servant of the gopis in Vrindavan. We have an identity. So many intelligent people in this world, but they all make their first mistake. They think that they're this body. I was listening to a very intelligent person on YouTube yesterday, looking at the news because of this war in Gaza. So he's a Jewish man. I forget his name now. Young man. But he was telling, the first thing he's telling, I'm Jewish. So this is a mistake, you see, you're not Jewish. You may have a Jewish body, but you're the soul in that body. People can't get past the first mistake, that you're the soul. You have nothing, ultimately the body is finished, but you remain. This is the first teaching. And Krishna goes over and over again, in 20 to something verses, 25 verses in the second chapter. At first he says, you and I and all these things, we've always existed in the past. We're existing now. And in the future we'll also exist as individuals. We're persons, we're individual persons. But we've always existed. And then Krishna helps us understand that in so many verses. He compares the body to a cloth that you're wearing and you give it up. So that we give up this body, but then we get a new body according to our karma, what we deserve, what we desire. So we are eternal. Very good news. We don't die. Well, we can stay a long time in the material world if we are, you can say, against, not happy to hear God being praised. Like today on Harinam, I saw that a few people were, we can say, positively unhappy that we were chanting Hare Krishna. No, they're there. So those kind of people, then they're going away from God. If they appreciate, the next one coming closer. Once Prabhupada asked me like that, we were taking out the Harinam party, and she probably asked me, how are the people receiving the Harinam? And I said, sure, a lot of people appreciate it. Which we saw today also, a lot of people appreciate it. And Prabhupada said, just by appreciating, they make us dance. So, therefore we should go out regularly, whenever possible, and chant Hare Krishna for the benefit of the good people. And the others, in the 11th chapter, those who don't like to hear the holy name, they get away from it, they don't. I remember once in London, we were doing the chanting party on the street. There was a guy, and that's one story up, right, in the apartment, and he came out like he had a machine gun. He wanted to kill us all. So what to do? We have to tolerate. We don't kill. There's no violence from our side. In the previous ages, there was violence. Everybody was complaining, wow, Krishna was killing so many deer. Why is it necessary to kill so much? So it's, in the Kali Yuga, it's not. It's not required. It's against our principles. We don't become physically violent. Even if people are attacking us, we can protect ourselves, but we don't try to retaliate and go to their house later and shoot them or something, which is going on in the world. The Jews and the Muslims, they're going fighting each other since how long? And they train their children like that, to hate the Jews, to hate the Arabs. So we don't take part in that, friends and enemies. Prahlad, here Prahlad is on the altar. When he was being taught this philosophy of friends and enemies, he said he didn't like it because he wanted to see everybody equally. He was able to see everybody as a particle of God. Therefore, he didn't have any prejudice against them. We can judge a person by how he behaves, and we can not associate with them, but we don't want to kill them. We just avoid them if they're demoniac, if they're atheistic, and we preach to the innocent. Innocent what? Prabhupada asked, well, how do we know somebody's innocent? And the answer was yes, if they're ready to hear. And then they can question. We're not against it. Like now we're almost finished, we have another paragraph. We're going to call for questions. Everybody is encouraged to ask good questions. And we can speak more. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami was speaking to Maharaj Parikshit. Sometimes Maharaj Parikshit asked such a good question. Sukadeva Goswami almost went into trance. He had to check himself because the question was so good. It gave him a chance to explain more about the Lord. So he was very happy to get a good question. Prabhupada invariably, when he gave a lecture, he would say, so any question? Okay, let me finish this last paragraph. Purport. The more one hears about the Supreme God, the more one becomes fixed in devotional service. One should always hear about the Lord and the association of devotees. That will enhance one's devotional service. Discourses in the society of devotees can take place only amongst those who are really anxious to be in Krishna consciousness. Others cannot take part in such discussions. The Lord clearly tells Arjuna that because Arjuna is very dear to him, for his benefit, such discourses are taking place. So I'm also pleased so many people are here. And you can get up and walk out, everybody knows that, but you're staying hearing. So this is the sign that you're interested to find out about Krishna. And this is the qualification. Prabhupada said about himself that others were coming and going, but he liked to hear from his spiritual master. They would go on Trikram or something, but if his Guru Maharaj is going to speak, he stayed there. And sometimes he said, I couldn't quite understand his he used erudite language, but if I understood or not, I still like to hear from him. And then Prabhupada said, and because I like to hear, now I like to preach. And that was what, look at his preaching, what he did. One man came to the West, and within 10 years, able to start a worldwide movement with hundreds of centers. Or more than 100, I don't know how many hundreds. Now there's hundreds. So we met him at that time, and he wasn't an ordinary man. I remember consciously thinking, when I first came, I said, why are they worshiping this human being? But after about a year or so, my association with Prabhupada, I was fortunate, I had a lot of personal association. Then I became convinced that he's actually worshipable, because he had no envy. He was our well-wisher. He wrote in his letter, every letter he wrote, you're ever well-wisher. And that wasn't, it really was. One sorry said to him, Prabhupada, so many people love you. And Prabhupada said, that's because I love everybody. He loved everybody. Of course, some people couldn't accept his life, his love. They avoided him, or they didn't. But he was a soul, particle of Krishna. So why not love them? Not this false idea that some people are of the devil and they're evil, we should kill them. From the other side, we're not against capital punishment. We're against abortion, but not capital punishment. Why? Because the capital punishment is for the murderer who's guilty. He has to be found guilty. We don't just say mob, lynching or something. But if he's found guilty, then that's the best thing for him. To be killed. And so that murder that he committed, or she, is removed. And he'll start next life like with a clean slate, more or less. That's the idea. If the state takes his life. So it may seem like a paradox. Oh, you're in favor of, you're against abortion, but you're in favor of capital punishment. So in one case, they're innocent. In the other case, someone is guilty. There's a basic principle of justice. You don't punish the innocent. Okay, any questions? Remember, the other side is, it's okay you don't have any questions because everything is clear. The application is a little troublesome. Yes, we have to accept everything favorable to devotional service, reject everything unfavorable. It's not really troublesome, but our mind may think it is. Because the mind is habituated to doing whatever it wants to do, whenever it wants to do it. But now we have to regulate the mind. It will object. Like small children. They have to be told, but they don't like it. Mommy. But gradually they learn, okay? So the mothers and father are like intelligence. The child is like the mind. It wants what it wants when it wants it. It wants sense gratification. It's controlled by the senses. Mind is the sixth sense. So the senses of demanding, seeing something beautiful, tasting something wonderful, hearing some beautiful music. Like this, the senses are dragging. And the mind is saying, yeah, why not? Intelligence is the parent saying, no, last time you did this, it didn't make you happy. Why do you think it's going to make you happy this time? That's intelligence. But we don't care for intelligence. Even the psychiatrists say, when you do the same thing over and over again, and you expect a different result, that's called part crazy. So we say everybody's crazy because you're not going to get a different result. The result is going to be old age, disease, and death, and you're going to feel bitter, and even if you die happy, still, where are you going? You have no idea. Higher authorities will decide. And you won't get free from the cycle of birth and death. You have to come into the womb again, according to your karma. And if you act like a dog, you may find yourself in a dog's womb. This is the law. So we should admit, first of all, we're in an awkward position. Then we can regularly hear. We're speaking 15, 20 minutes, but you can read we have so many books on this subject. So understand, Robert's giving it these wonderful purports. Then, we should see if there's something wrong. That's okay. You know, like when I was first coming, I was a kind of a seeker at that time. I probably wouldn't have remained one. I was, just going to get married and end up raising a family and so on. But I was looking for spiritual life, and then I met the devotees, and I liked them. I thought they were very sincere. But one thing I didn't like, I thought they were a little like the Christians in that they have the only way. So they were saying, no, Bhagavad Gita is the only way, and only this Bhagavad Gita as it is bona fide. So I had read Bhagavad Gita. I didn't understand it, I have to say. I couldn't really understand who this Krishna was. Although he clearly tells who he is, but it's superficial reading. But anyway, I wanted to prove the devotees wrong. So I went to the library and got 4 different editions of Bhagavad Gita. And I did a comparative study. That much research I did. It took a couple of hours. That's all. And then, but I came to accept that, yeah, according to what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, he is God, and everything is meant to please him. So then I went back to the devotees with a little more respect, and I thought, well, this seems bona fide. And of course, when I met Prabhupada, then I was very impressed that this person was such a scholar and so humble. And so gradually I became, ready to put him in the center, ready to serve him and try to please him rather than pleasing my mind, which we've all been doing since time immemorial. So that's a big change. When we accept the spiritual master, that he knows better than me, than my mind, what's good for me. That's a big step, but we should make that step. But not blindly, like I did. We should scrutinize, study, compare, and see if it's not the best thing for us. We don't say you should do something that's not good for you, but you have to know who you are. If you don't know who you are, how can you do what's good for you? Just like my Jewish friend, he really thinks that that's who he is. That's his identity. He's Jewish. But it's not correct. And so how can it bring us happiness? We have to come to the point of the truth. The truth is God is great and we're small. The truth is we're an eternal particle of God and we're meant to be with him eternally. But we've missed our independence, we've come to this world. This is the truth. And therefore we're suffering. So we should admit we're in an awkward position, we're under the law of material nature, but we can get free from that by putting God in the center. Okay? Any questions yet? No.
He asked you.
She knows everything.
No, that's not her. He's joking.
Hi, Krishnaraj. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for your reflections.
Thank you for sitting here and listening to it.
A long day of driving. But I was wondering, because you mentioned also when Krishna speaks to Arjuna saying, I'm telling you, my friend, he's not telling him, I'm telling you this because I'm your God. And for many people, they don't accept Krishna as God. Want to speak as friend. Maybe they say it's a mythological figure. It's still an issue, right? And a lot of Muslim and Hindu, Jewish people, they also have problems singing the names.
Well, Christians too.
And Christians even.
Sure.
So how can we
The best way we can,
bring that treasure more to the world?
the best way is by our example. That was the Prabhupada. Acharya means one who teaches by example. When Prabhupada came, I wasn't ready to follow on philosophy. Sometimes we used to joke. There was a few of us who were a little skeptical, right? And we would talk about philosophy and they'd say, well, anyway, we couldn't really accept it, but the Prasad is good. So we stayed, we kept, and then gradually, now, I don't have any doubts about the philosophy. Why not? One of the things that convinced me is our line of the Guru Parampara. Each individual guru is so, you can say, qualified. It's not just a rubber stamp that you're a guru. No. You go down the line from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the six Goswami, Narottam Das, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baladev Vidyabhusha, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Gorkishore Babaji, Bhakti Siddhanta. They're all exemplary personalities. No trace of sin. So where will you find that? And they've all accepted Krishna as God. And I can see from my character, which was flawed, that they're better than me. Because they're ideal men. And women, Jahnavi Devi and so on. So that's one of the things that has kept me in the fold, so to speak, is that these people are superior to me in every way. Intellectually, they're able to write, they know so many languages. Like this, the six Goswamis, they were conversing in Arabic and so many languages. I only know English because I'm stupid compared to them. There's so many like that. So that was one of the things that kept me faithful. And so, if we remain faithful and our character improves, then people who follow will also appreciate us. And therefore that they're more likely to stay. If the leaders are falling down, then of course the ordinary devotees may lose faith. But if the leaders are exemplary in their Krishna consciousness, and like Prabhupada said when he was at the end, he was appointing some people to take on the service of giving Diksha Guru, and some were complaining or whatever, and Prabhupada said they want to be Guru, but small thing, strictly follow. That's required. And so many of them didn't do that after he left. So it's not a joke. We have to strictly follow, and then Krishna will reveal to us. When we prove to Krishna that we're really devotees, that we do want what's pleasing to him, like Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, so many lifetimes I've been trying to please myself, but still I can't get no satisfaction. I try and I try and I try. So that's the reality. We're putting ourselves in the center and it doesn't work. It doesn't make us happy. So why not try this one lifetime putting Krishna in the center, to act for his pleasure? And then Krishna will reveal to you within. Then you won't be so worried about what the Christians think. Let them think whatever they want. We have our conception of God. It's a very full conception. And what is their conception? They can't tell us what God does or what he looks like. I started talking with a Muslim one time, telling him, well, you believe God is a person? Or they said, no, he's not a human being. I know, I said he's not a human being. He's a person, all right? He has personal qualities. Like one of the things you say that Muhammad, or that Christ is, or that Allah is merciful. That's a personal quality. Mercy, you won't get from light, you won't get mercy, or from energy. It's a personal quality. And they say that Allah is the most compassionate. So then that means he's a person. So what kind of person is he? What does he do? Does he have friends? Does he have? They don't even want to talk about that. They think that's blasphemy. It's just great. Allah Akbar! And then they go, suicide bombers. They become fanatical. So we want to be reasonable, and according to authority of the Shastra, we base our claim. Shastra is the same. We should judge Guru and Sadhu according to Shastra. Then we can remain sane. Otherwise, the Christians also, they were killing each other. I went to in Peru, Lima, Peru, 20 years ago or more. They have a big, big house, a museum. And you know what it's full of? Torture equipment. Where the Catholics used to torture the Protestants, or vice versa, I don't know. Machines that pull out the nails, and that you get on this machine, and then one side of you it gets pulled this way and the other side gets this way and you get torn apart in the middle. The stretching machine. They have a whole big museum, I'm sure it's still there. And how to torture each other. And they were both Christians. And even now as we speak, the Sunni are killing the Shia. The two different branches of Muslims. So, what do we know? They're going to preach to us. But we have to strictly follow. And we can end up like that. Prophet sometimes says, don't make it another Catholic church. You can easily become bureaucratic, and nobody is following strictly. Nobody wants to become a leader and say, no, this is what Prophet wants. We're going to do it. There's a danger. Why is the danger there? Because in the name of religion, there's a big scope for mischief. Because we have power over people, we can seduce women easy. But if we misuse our position or our authority or our power, then we again become, the Prophet said about himself, if I had engaged in sense gratification, I would have just been another face in the crowd. The Prophet said that about himself. He was in America for a year trying to get started. But he wasn't just another face in the crowd, because he was strictly following. So the purity was there. His words were pure. His face was pure. So therefore we were confident to follow that he's not going to exploit us. Okay, anyone else? The lady?
Mataji, there's a question in German, I will translate. Why did Krishna want to know which feelings Radharani in her ecstasy felt?
Why did Krishna want to know?
Why did Krishna want to know which
Why not? Because he saw she was so blissful, so he wanted to experience that bliss. He looked at Radharani and he saw, this person is so ecstatic. And where did she get that ecstasy from? From serving me. So he couldn't quite experience that because he wasn't serving himself. So he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to serve Krishna. And when the devotee said, no, you're the God, you're the Supreme, he would cover his ears. He didn't reveal to the world that he was Krishna. He revealed to the world that he was the best devotee of Krishna. But that was our benefit because we want to be also a pure devotee of Krishna. So he was teaching us how to be a devotee of Krishna. And the biographies are there. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat. These are the people who were with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they've given us so much information about him, how he behaved. Like every night they had kirtan, went on and on. So we can also, tonight we tried to sing a little longer. This is good, the kirtan, what is that verse? Ali Doshe Rajan.
Asti eko mahaguna kirtana deva krishnasya mukta sangha.
Mukta sangha. Yeah, in the Kali Yuga, there's an ocean of faults. Dosha. And we see that. Just look at the news. Ocean of faults. So much envy, so much quarrel. And we see it even on the local level, in our children and so on. So much envy. And then, but the other side is one great quality. If we come together like this regularly and chant together, then we can become perfect. Narottam Das, we mentioned him. He's a great devotee of the Lord. He has given his bhajan. Goloka Premadana Harinam Sankirtan. He's saying that this Goloka Premadana is coming. By the chanting, we can realize that Krishna is here in his holy name. So should we do it? No more questions, right?
I have more. Yes, if you allow me to. Somebody else? Oh, no.
She has a question.
But she asked first.
Oh, okay.
About, thank you, Maharaj. So, you spoke about this capital punishment, judgment, and you spoke about karma. But I would like to add something positive about, not positive about karma, but something what gives hope, and that's in the Bhagavad Gita. We have the 5 topics, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, nature, and time, Kala. And we have karma. So many persons to have a lot of, and I know even devotees who did such bad things in their life, and even though people who were in jail for murdering others, Chandramauli Maharaj is preaching to them. So many people did really bad things like killing, murders, but the nice thing is that, isn't it, that from the 5 topics, 4 are eternal, but only karma is changeable. So karma can be purified by devotional service, isn't it? So
It can be transcended.
it can transcend, that's the word, yeah. So it's not like Jagai and Madai, they were rapers and murderers, and at a certain moment by
That's right.
chanting, that's the hopeful
That's a good
element
comment.
I would like to add, otherwise we're going to sleep in a bad mood or something. Otherwise we're going to sleep in a bad mood. The karma is changeable, there's hope.
No, that's the whole philosophy, that's the whole argument of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is making the plea that you want me to fight, but these are my superiors, Drona and Bhishma. If I fight with them, I'm going to get their karma, so I don't want to fight. But Krishna told him, no, if you work for me, you don't get any karma. There's 3 kinds of karma. There's vikarma, means sinful activity, there's karma, means good activity, and there's akarma, action that don't bring you any karma. So that's what we're interested in. We're interested to do work for Krishna where we don't get any karma. So this girl has a question. But that's a good point, thank you. We shouldn't go to bed in a bad mood.
Oh, he's joking again.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for your explanations. At some point you talked about how Srila Prabhupada was always pleased within himself, how he was
He was satisfied in his heart.
was satisfied in his heart. And I think every devotee, beginner or not, they also feel something very special when they're in a kirtan or when they do something that pleases their spiritual master. And I wanted to ask you how in general you would define what is a spiritual emotion and how we distinguish it from something that is not.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about, spiritual emotions. When we feel happy, seeing the spiritual master happy. When we see that he's pleased with something we did, then we feel that happy. That's an emotion. Happiness is an emotion. And we feel that, but that's bona fide emotion. Otherwise, people take, like she's saying, we take pleasure out of seeing others suffer. If the Muslims died, the Jews would be happy. The Jews, it's like that's how the world is going on. We take pleasure in others' trouble. So devotees are not like that. So they're experiencing some spiritual emotion by pleasing the spiritual master. And I had that experience too, where if we did something and Prabhupada smiled, it was a different experience than we'd get from our ordinary work satisfaction. We worked and we did something, we accomplished it, we feel some satisfaction. But when Prabhupada was pleased, it was like another level of satisfaction. So that's spiritual. So we should try more and more to please the spiritual master and Krishna, and then we'll no longer be experiencing difficulties of that sort. We're going to have difficulties because we have to leave this body, and we've been in it for so long, and there's some attachment there. But if we're surrounded by devotees and they're chanting Hare Krishna, then we can leave this body in a glorious way. That's our goal. Okay?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Now there's more questions. This lady there, I'm coming back to you.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, please accept my obeisances. Thank you very much for your lecture. How can we please, Srila Prabhupada, when we have the feeling that we have not so the mainly physical capacity to contribute something really significant to the movement?
No, we shouldn't have to think we have to do something so significant. If we just cooperate together and try our best, then imperceptibly. But if we think I want to be a great devotee, I want to be a significant devotee, therefore Prabhupada signs his letter there. When that poem that he wrote, wonderful poem when he came to America, he wrote insignificant beggar. He didn't want to be so significant. But that significance came to him because what he accomplished. And sometimes he even, in the conversation you can read it, that Prabhupada said about himself. He said, I look around and I wonder how this wonderful thing is happening to me. That so many people are becoming my disciples, so many people are giving me money, so many people are giving land. Like the last year or two, Prabhupada was so successful wherever he went. Money and land and devotees and men and women were coming to surrender to him. So his analysis was of himself. I look at myself and I say, I don't see anything particularly wonderful. The only thing I can see is that I took the order of my spiritual master as my life and soul. So that's open to us also. Prabhupada has given clear indications how we should cooperate together, push on this movement, distribute his books, and keep him in the center, keep the Acharya in the center. He told us that. So if we do that cooperatively, then we'll also be significant. But we shouldn't, start out with the premise, I have to do something significant. It will come imperceptibly. Just be humbly, from whatever position you're in, try your best. Try your best. If you're trying your best, who can ask for more? If they want you to do better than your best, you say, I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best. But you have to be honest about that. You're trying your best. You're not overeating, you're not oversleeping, you're trying your best to work in the spirit of cooperation that Prabhupada wanted. Then, imperceptibly, just like happened to Prabhupada, this movement can become movement significant. Instrument in that. But Krishna will recognize, he's in our heart. And he'll bring us back to Godhead. That's the goal, right? We all want to go home back to Godhead. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna.
So Mataji had still the question, because Krishna wanted to know the feelings of Radharani. Does that mean that he was not conscious of it or does not know everything? Because he's omniscient.
Now that's a good question. You can ask Krishna when you meet him. Next question. Two questions.
That's it. That was it.
That's what she says. No, I mean, what am I going to tell you? I don't know Krishna's mind. And at one point, he looked at Radharani, he saw she was so blissful, and he wanted to experience that particular kind of bliss that she got from serving him. Now, why don't you just leave it like that? Don't be over-intelligent and guess that, oh, he must be less than perfect because he doesn't know that. Give him a break already. Anyone else? Okay, we'll stop here. As you Bhagavad Gita ki. Jai. Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Maharaj ki
Jai.